After Dave Mustaine making a comeback with Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good, of course, naturally, they would go back in the studio to record their sophomore album, Peace Sells But Who's Buying? Peace Sells But Who's Buying is long regarded as one of the hallmark thrash metal albums. This is one of those things, if you're a fan of thrash, you own this album. When you think of thrash metal, chances are you think of Peace Sells But Who's Buying, and other works by other bands such as Slayer's Rain and Blood. Peace Sells But Who's Buying, to me, will always be that one album in the 80s that overshadowed every other piece of work Megadeth did. It overshadowed Killing Is My Business, and it even overshadowed the release after this album, So Far So Good So What. Peace Sells is one of those landmark Megadeth albums. It helped put them on the map and helped make them a worldwide name. Track listing for Peace Sells But Who's Buying, you have Wake Up Dead, The Conjuring, Peace Sells, Devil's Island, Good Morning Black Friday, Bad Omen, I Ain't Superstitious, a cover, and then you end the album with My Last Words. Now there are actually a few remasters for this album. There is a 2004 bonus edition, which includes some demos, and then you have the recent 25th anniversary 2 CD reissue, which I have reviewed this past year. Peace Sells But Who's Buying, to me, will always be that one album by Megadeth that inspires you to pick up an instrument and begin playing. The riffs on this album are superior, in fact, to Killing Is My Business, in my opinion. With songs like Wake Up Dead, Peace Sells, those two tracks have become mainstays in Megadeth's live set. Peace Sells was used, the opening bass line to Peace Sells was used in MTV News during the 80s. Peace Sells is one of those albums that I constantly have in rotation. I never get bored of listening to this album. Tracks like The Conjuring, Devil's Island, Bad Omen, and My Last Words are probably some of the most listened to songs out of the entire Megadeth discography for me. Wake Up Dead had a music video. Peace Sells had a music video. This was a first for the band, the first two videos to come out for them. And to be honest, I know this is going to sound terrible, but I'm not really that big of a fan of Wake Up Dead. There is a riff in the song that actually, to me, sounds really good. But I think the reason why I don't really enjoy Wake Up Dead too much anymore is the fact that I've heard it so many times, and I'm sick of hearing it. I would rather hear Mustaine play The Conjuring or Devil's Island live, maybe even Bad Omen or My Last Words. Speaking of The Conjuring, which to me is the hallmark track of this album, when I think of Peace Sells But Who's Buying, I think of The Conjuring. This is probably the most impressive composition on the album. The soloing alone in this album, it's just insane. And then we get the title track, Peace Sells, which, unlike Wake Up Dead, I can still listen to Peace Sells so many times over many years, and I don't get bored with it. Devil's Island, as I mentioned before, is one of the tracks I would like to see Megadeth play live a little bit more. And as I mentioned in the Killing Is My Business review, Mustaine objects to playing any songs that have to do with Satanism or black magic or anything like that. Devil's Island, on the other hand, doesn't have any of that material in it. In fact, it's about a prisoner on Devil's Island, which it turns out Devil's Island's actually a real place. It's one of those songs that I would really like to see the band bring back, especially since they have Chris Broderick in the band, who can pretty much play anything out of the back catalog with machine-like efficiency. And then you have Good Morning Black Friday. Good Morning is a nice, clean, soft-sounding part, which I know I'm probably describing this in a very awkward way, but it's a very slow, subtle intro leading into Black Friday, which is the all-out assault on this album. Lyrically, Black Friday is talking about smashing people's heads in with a hammer, and Black Friday, paint the devil on the wall. It's lyrically very, very fast, and when it's fast like that, it can confuse you. Then you have Bad Omen, which I think it probably has the most diverse riffing in the album, not so much soloing, but really solid track with Bad Omen. Then you have the cover I Ain't Superstitious, which is really out of place for me on this album. I feel that this track should not even be included in the track listing. And then to close out the album, you have My Last Words, a song about Russian roulette. My Last Words, I'd love to see it in a live set. Chances are it's never going to happen. So what makes Peace Sells But Who's Buying so great? Is it the speed, the intensity, the diverse soloing on the album? To me, I think it's just that it's the first Megadeth album people heard. Killing Is My Business, while it was a return for Dave Mustaine after being booted out of Metallica, I feel that after the word of mouth finally hit people across the country and they saw that Peace Sells had come out, this was the first album that they picked up. And to me, if I wanted to get somebody into Megadeth, I would rather give them a copy of Peace Sells than a copy of Killing Is My Business. Why? Because Killing Is My Business has a bit more of a darker edge to it, and production-wise, really isn't as great as Peace Sells. Now, with the 25th anniversary reissue, which I reviewed, the 25th anniversary reissue compared to the 2004 remaster, I prefer people getting the 25th anniversary over the 2004 anytime. There's something about that 2004 remaster that doesn't sound right. It's the bass, the drums. It doesn't sound authentic. They sound like they're fake instruments. Pure and simple. 25th anniversary reissue, though, actually sounds almost exactly like the original album, except there's a bit of a volume boost, considering with the whole loudness war controversy going on, people boosting their volumes in remasters. Most notably, the recent remasters of the Pink Floyd discography suffer from the loudness war. But if you can't find an original copy of Peace Sells But Who's Buying an original pressing, go ahead and pick up the 25th Anniversary 2 CD reissue. I think you'll enjoy that a lot more than the 2004. That and it includes a previously unreleased 1987 concert, which includes some songs that Mustaine won't play live today, played live, even some of them for the first time. I think there's even a recording of These Boots Are Made for Walking on that album. Bad Omens on there, Looking Down the Cross, some stuff that we probably never will ever hear live again. If I had to give a numerical grade for Peace Sells But Who's Buying, I would give it a 9 out of 10. This is a fantastic album, however, it does have some faults, most notably the cover of I Ain't Superstitious by Willie Dixon. I feel that track should have been omitted from the album because it doesn't fit at all. It doesn't fit Megadeth's style, and even with their own unique take on it, really not that great of a track. So Peace Sells But Who's Buying helps solidify Megadeth's existence in the thrash metal scene. Next album, on the other hand, well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.